frankly, I'm looking for somebody that really understands what we're talking about, because I'd rather have the whole thing be on policy. And I've said that to you before. I mean, people think of me as an attacker, but I'd rather be talking about policy. I'm very good on policy, and a lot of people don't even, give you the chance.
Donald Trump today in Indianapolis talking about his decision on VP, which will come, we're told, within the next day or so. He is looking at, he says, in his head 2, but the 3 that are whittled down to, we're told, are these gentlemen: Governor Mike Pence of Indiana, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, and Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey. Now, the 2 in his head, could it be Pence, Gingrich, Pence, Christie? Pence is in the final 2. Let's take a look at the new polls out tonight. Quickly, the Fox poll, Colorado and Virginia, and then you see Hillary Clinton with a lead. Not really surprising in those 2 states, but the other polls were a little surprising today in that Donald Trump is performing well in this Quinnipiac poll, especially when you look at Florida, tying in Ohio, and in a place like Pennsylvania that Republicans historically have not done fantastic in. Then you look at the NBC Wall Street Journal poll, and there you see those numbers also out tonight. It's a big swing state poll night in America. Let's bring in our panel. We welcome Salem Radio Network syndicated radio host Mike Gallagher, Mara Eliason, national political correspondent of National Public Radio, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Mike, welcome. Your thoughts on what Donald Trump said there, and kind of the positioning in this race as we get ready to hear his VP choice.
Well, of course, it's a fun parlor game to try to speculate what Mr. Trump is going to do. And for a year, America has been saying, what is Mr. Trump going to do? And he confounds and surprises and confuses and typically goes with his gut. It seems to me that if he goes with his gut, Chris Christie or Newt Gingrich would be a Trumpian kind of choice. If he's listening to Mr. Manafort and maybe his advisors to say, let's be safe and let's be careful and let's appear very, very presidential and serious, it would be Governor Pence. But again, we all should learn to stop predicting what Trump is going to do, because every time we think we've got him figured out, he pulls a surprise out of his bag.
I agree with that. I think Mike Pence is what the kind of VP pick that traditional candidates make. They need to shore up their support among a certain part of the coalition. Mike Pence could do that. He's safe. If you want somebody who's more like yourself, you want to double down on your brand, then you go for a Christie or a Newt Gingrich for different reasons.
Charles.
Well, I don't know that we can predict, but we can analyze what the advantages are. With Pence, I think it's completely safe, but it doesn't move the needle either way. He's not going to help, he's not going to hurt. It'll be a Trump campaign, and nobody will remember the name of Pence 2 weeks into the campaign. I think Gingrich is the one who I think would be the best fit, not so much because he doubles down, but because he is the most, if you like, either articulate or glib. You can have it either way. But he has such facility with language, he can explain away anything. He can explain anything, and he can explain away anything. After all, last time around, he ran on a campaign that included a moon base, which was an interesting idea, but not easy to sell. So you can anticipate that Trump will run into problems here and there, as he obviously has over the last year. And the guy you'd want to be the first to explain it away would be Newt, because I think he'd be very successful at it.
Gingrich talked to Sean Hannity, and we have a clip talking about that meeting, about 2.5 hours with Donald Trump in Indianapolis. Supposed to be secret, was not secret for long. Take a listen.
We were kicking around everything from the role of the vice president to how you would manage the relationship with the Congress to get things done. And it was a very complete conversation, and I thought one that was totally candid on both sides.
Mike, when you look at these polls, and particularly the Quinnipiac poll, what do you see? Do you see this as a result of a tough couple of weeks for Hillary Clinton with the email investigation, or is this Donald Trump hitting a segment of the population that is just there for him?
Right, it was reported this morning that Team Clinton has outspent Team Trump about 40-1 in the battleground states. And so if these polls are correct, you've got to be very, very nervous and very anxious if you are, a Hillary supporter and you're in the Clinton campaign. There's no way on paper that if you spend that kind of money, that they're neck and neck in any kind of poll anywhere. Mr. Trump said it to you in your interview. That he pointed out, I haven't even begun to spend money yet. Next week will be the big bump from the Republican convention, or a bump as expected. And so Mrs. Clinton has got to be nervous and concerned about outspending him to this degree and not showing anything, nothing to show for it, at least in terms of the polling.
Mar, you look at the Virginia poll for Fox. She's up 7 in Virginia, and you know, we're talking a lot about the VP on the Donald Trump side because it's imminent, but she's looking at Tim Kaine in Virginia. It looks like, according to the polls, she has a decent lead in Virginia.
It's almost as if Tim Kaine would be an insurance policy, but not actually bring her a state. Although it's been a very long time since a vice presidential candidate actually brought a state delivered. Yeah. Look, what changed in the Quinnipiac poll was her. If you look at the last Quinnipiac poll in those states, and now she's the one who dropped. And they polled, for some reason, Quinnipiac polls over a very long period of time. They take 12 days to do their poll, and that was before Comey and during Comey and afterwards. But it does indicate that she has really been hurt by the email, the end of the email investigation.
I mean, she was already facing the honest and trustworthy issues in every poll that were upside down.
But I think from her point of view, that in some way mitigates the impact of these polls, although Quinnipiac is a kind of an outlier here. The Fox polls is much more favorable to her. Because this is a
let me interrupt you. You know, Colorado and Virginia have been more bluish in recent years.
Fox didn't poll in Ohio and Florida.
But these are big leads. Look, I think this is happening at the lowest point in her campaign. She just got indicted, essentially, by Comey. Politically, he let her off legally, but that was a bill of goods. That was a sort of an indictment of quite enormous length and detail. And if this is where she is now, remember, it is also happening when Trump has had a good several days, perhaps a week or two, showing discipline, reading speeches off the teleprompter, and not stepping on stories. So I think this is a coincidence of these two swings. We will see a month down the road what happens when it equilibrates.
And quickly, Mike, you know, I asked him about that. Is this the turn that everybody talks about? And he kind of said no.
There are going to be a lot of turns, but I mean, she said in her speech today that the party of Lincoln has become the party of Trump. Well, Mr. Trump could say that this is the party of Hillary. The Democrats have become the party of Hillary, and that's a pretty powerful message when you look at the stark differences between these two candidates.